You did the work, you delivered the results. Everyone knows you're the best, but they still chose someone else. Recently, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, arguably two of the most dominant forces in NFL history, were passed over for the Football Hall of Fame. For millions of fans, it felt like a travesty. How do you overlook 6 Super Bowl championships? But here's the uncomfortable truth. Organizations do this sort of thing all the time. The obvious choice gets ignored, the top performer gets passed over. The leader who transformed the business watches someone else get the promotion. So when you're that overlooked leader, how should you think about it? I'm Lawrence Price, the 3C coach, and today we're going to break this down through the lens of behavioral theology, using the 3C framework: character, competence, and courage. So let's start with character. When you feel overlooked, the first question isn't about them, it's really about you. Specifically, where are you getting your sense of worth? Here's what's happening psychologically. There's a massive gap between perception and reality. What everyone else sees as the obvious choice may conflict with the evaluator's hidden criteria. Maybe it's politics, maybe it's timing, maybe you're actually a threat to someone's power. Performance metrics get trumped by the things that you just can't see. Second, there's the issue of identity anchoring. If you derive your worth solely from external validation, such as titles and awards and recognition, you become a hostage to the gatekeepers. Psychological resilience requires what we call an internal locus of control. Your identity must be rooted in your mission and not in receiving accolades. The overlooked leader has to ask a really hard question. Am I chasing recognition or am I chasing faithfulness? Because if you need the Hall of Fame vote to validate your legacy, you've already lost. Now, let's talk competence. Not yours, but theirs. When organizations consistently overlook top talent, that's not a you problem. That is a selection system failure. Either the evaluation criteria itself is misaligned with the strategic needs, or the decision makers themselves lack the diagnostic capability. Think about it. The Hall of Fame, like most promotion committees, doesn't just reward statistical dominance, it rewards a narrative fit. Belichick and Kraft may have the rings, but they don't fit the story that the voters wanted to tell, at least for this year. Maybe they threaten existing power structures. Maybe they fail the likability algorithm embedded in the voting process. Whatever it is, this is what we call survivorship bias in organizational psychology. The people who get selected aren't always the best. They're the ones who check the boxes the system was designed to recognize. And here's the root cause. When meritocracy fails repeatedly, it's not about the candidate, it's about institutional decay in the selection process itself. So if you're that overlooked leader, stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking what's broken in the system that it can't recognize excellence. Finally, let's talk about courage. This is my favorite part. It's the theological foundation that changes everything. Ecclesiastes 9:11 says that the race is not given to the swift nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happen to them all. Translation, at least in this context, recognition systems are fallen. They're finite. And unfortunately, they're frequently unjust. So here's the question on courage. Are you called to be excellent? Or are you called to be celebrated for excellence? Because those are theologically distinctive vocations. If your work has integrity independent of human approval, then the lack of recognition becomes a data point about them, and it's not an indictment on you. This is what we call stewardship over status. Your job isn't to win the vote. Your job is to be faithful to the work you were entrusted with. When you anchor your identity in that truth, you become absolutely unshakable. The committee can vote however they want, the board can promote whoever they choose, and you just keep building. So here's the coaching question I really want to leave you with. Are you building a legacy that requires a committee's permission or a person's permission to be legitimate, or one that builds value regardless of who's watching? Because let's be true, let's be honest. Bill Belichick doesn't need a gold jacket to be Belichick. Kraft doesn't need a bronze bust to validate the dynasty that he built. And you don't need the approval of others to do the work that you were called to do. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more leadership theology that really cuts through the noise. I'm Lawrence Price, the 3C coach, and I look forward to chatting with you in our next video. Take care.